All right, so I have a 3-for-1. I have 3 stories that I want to cover, and they all synergize well. It's kind of relating to immigration, except for one, but I'm going to link it back to immigration anyways. First story we're going to cover is from the AP. It is the Justice Department releases new list of so-called sanctuary jurisdictions. This is going to be a really annoying article to read. I can already see it. And then we're going to cover a CBS article that crime is down in every category for the year of 2024. That analysis is complete, and we have the numbers there. And then third one from NBC is, as we've been covering and as we've been screaming from the rooftops about that this is going to happen, we have hundreds of alleged human rights violations just racking up in places like Alligator, Alcatraz, and these detention centers all across the country. So we're going to read all of these, again, starting with the Justice Department releases new list of so-called sanctuary jurisdictions. The Justice Department identified some 36 states, cities, and counties as so-called sanctuary jurisdictions on Tuesday, 2 months after the federal government quietly removed a much longer list that included many localities that support the Trump administration's hard-line immigration policies. The earlier typo-riddled list was met with pushback from across the political spectrum, with officials often saying it wasn't clear why their jurisdictions were included. The new announcement doesn't appear to threaten consequences beyond what the federal government is already doing. Attorney General Pamela Bondi warned in the announcement that the department would continue bringing litigation against sanctuary jurisdictions and work closely with the Department of Homeland Security to eradicate these harmful policies around the country. You mean like treating immigrants as human beings? It doesn't like... I know like every study in the world for U.S. immigration shows that they commit significantly less crime, both undocumented and documented, by the way, commit significantly less crime than natural-born U.S. Citizens. And I'm pretty sure studies show that like sanctuary cities and localities are also safer and have less crime. Feel free to fact check me on that in the description, but I'm pretty sure that's also in the comment section. But I think that's the case as well. So like, this is bullshit. Sanctuary policies impede law enforcement and put American citizens at risk by design. No, they don't. No, they don't. Well, they do impede law enforcement. That's a fucking point. So your Gestapo pigs can't just go and rip people off job sites, break into people's home, and just arrest these people and deport them to a third country, even though they've been here since they were children or for the past 15 years, haven't committed any crimes, have a family, have a full-time job. The new list is composed overwhelmingly of Democratic jurisdictions, including states like New York, California, Connecticut, cities like Boston and New York City, and a handful of counties, including Baltimore County, Maryland, and Cook County, Illinois. Color me shocked. There's no clear definition of sanctuary jurisdictions, but the term is generally applied to state and local governments that limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities. Like, don't these localities like acknowledge it? Isn't that like, hey, are you a sanctuary? Yes, no. I don't know. The administration never fully explained the errors in the first announcement, which included hundreds of jurisdictions, including places that had voted overwhelmingly for Trump and at least one that had declared itself a non-sanctuary city. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't they just like declare themselves one or the other? I could be wrong here. This could be all like vibes and like and just their laws, and that's what constitutes sanctuary versus non-sanctuary. The list was published in late May on the Department of Homeland Security's website, but within 3 days was replaced with a page not found error message. Trump officials have long warned that the federal government would go after jurisdictions that resist the president's plans for mass deportations. In April, Trump signed an executive order requiring Homeland Security and the Attorney General to publish a list of jurisdictions they believe are obstructing federal immigration laws. So just prepare for every locality, I guess, or city, whatever, in this list. Just be prepared for them to be the next stops for the National Guard to be illegally federalized and deployed along with Marines. Like, we've already seen hints, and not even just hints, just like people like Pete Hegseth and others just outright saying it. It's like, yeah, like what happened in LA, we have the right to do that anywhere, and we will do that anywhere. They've told us. The administration has filed a series of lawsuits targeting state or city policies it says are interfering with immigration enforcement, including those in Los Angeles, New York, City, Denver, Rochester, New York. It sued 4 New Jersey cities in May. In late July, a judge in Illinois dismissed a Trump administration lawsuit that sought to disrupt limits Chicago imposes on cooperation between federal immigration agents and local police. In Connecticut, Democratic officials pushed back, arguing there's no reference to sanctuary jurisdictions in state law. Attorney General William Tong called the description of sanctuary states in the Department of Justice's announcement a concocted fiction of the Trump administration. Connecticut's Trust Act law has limited how police in the state can work with federal immigration since 2013. I mean, if you ask me, police, whether it's local, state, they should be defending the people from these masked Gestapo thugs who refuse to show warrants or identify themselves. Like, I'm sorry, like, that shouldn't be controversial at all. Crime down, and this is another one not directly related to immigration, but of course I'm going to circle this back to immigration because fuck you. Crime down in every category in 2024. FBI report says crime decreased in every category in 2024, including murder, violent crime, and motor vehicle thefts, according to data released by the FBI on Tuesday. It reflects a trend experts have been tracking as reported numbers of violent crimes continue to drop from a spike immediately following the COVID-19 pandemic. While the report included good news, violent crime still occurred on average of every 25.9 seconds in the U.S. last year. That's crazy. It's like, yeah, we're doing real good, but like a violent crime still committed every 26 seconds. Damn, dude. And I've talked about, like, why does this happen? It's because my belief is it's not because we need to go and do like an assault on weapons and guns. Reasonable regulation like background checks, sure, but like, or we don't need to deport millions of people, and we don't need to give even more money to our bloated militarized police forces. We need to do things to address the root systemic issues in this country, like poverty and the fact that Americans don't have a social safety net like other countries around the world. We don't have free universal health care. We pay so much out of pocket for prescription drugs. Unions aren't guaranteed. Wages, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Far from a livable minimum wage. And then, of course, other things like we don't have free education. A lot of people, free higher education, excuse me. A lot of people are just barred from actually trying to climb the rungs of society or try to do better because it's just out of their reach. It's unaffordable. So there are so many like larger root issues that we need to address. And I am of the sincere belief that would solve a lot of issues relating to crime and even to things like racism. Because once you address, like, do your job as a government and address the material needs of your citizens, then there's a lot less time for scapegoating and picking already marginalized groups and, blaming them like immigrants or trans people or whatever. Anyways, I digress. The FBI did note it's seen an increase in the number of officers shot in the line of duty between 2021 and 2024. We saw 258 law enforcement officers feloniously killed in the line of duty. All violent crime decreased last year. Violent crime, which the FBI defines as murder, non-negligent manslaughter, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault, was down an estimated 4.5% in 2024 compared to 2023, with each subcategory also seeing a decrease. The murder rate and non-negligent manslaughter rate decreased 14.9% year over year. Robbery dropped 8.9%. Rape saw an estimated 5.2% decrease, and aggravated assault was down 3%. The murder and non-negligent manslaughter rate dropped for a second straight year after dropping from 6.5 to 5.7 murders per 100,000. In 2024, the rate dropped again to 5 murders per 100,000 inhabitants. Over the last 20 years, the high mark in the murder rate was recorded in 2020 with 6.7 per 100,000 residents. Well, the lowest record was in 2014 with 4.4 cases per 100,000 people. Now, I could be an asshole here like Republicans and be like, I wonder who was president in 2020. But, I'm not an asshole, and I can acknowledge that COVID-19 played a big part of that. Just like I wish Republicans would acknowledge that the first year or two of Biden's presidency was focused on fixing a broken economy, not only from the actions of Trump, but also the actions of fucking a giant global pandemic. Anyways, I digress. Property crime also down. Property crime also saw a considerable decrease of 8.1% in 2024, the FBI report found, following a 2.4% drop in 2023. Of note, motor vehicle thefts decreased by 18.6% from 2023 to 2024, following several years of increases. It's the largest one-year drop ever recorded in that category, although the overall rate of car thefts is still higher than it was in 2019, according to Asher. Other subcategories of property crime, including burglary, down 8.6%, and larceny theft, down 5.5%. The overall property crime rate in 2024 was the lowest on record since 1961, according to the Council of Criminal Justice. So how am I going to loop this back to immigration? I'm going to loop this back to immigration because it's almost like we don't have millions of gangbanger, violent criminals that crossed our border under Biden. It's almost like this whole notion of crime running rampant under Biden and the thought of him having these open borders and having millions of people flood in was resulting in higher crime. And guess what? The numbers show that's not the case at all. It's almost like every study out there shows that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit significantly less crime than U.S. citizens. It's almost like this whole making our communities safer through mass deportations is just a racist ruse to deport every brown person in sight, and it has nothing to do with actually addressing violent crime. But anyways, what happened? I thought crime was rampant under Biden. I thought, oh, he's letting millions of murderous criminals in. What happened? What happened? Okay, I digress. Now, finally, from NBC News, hundreds of alleged human rights abuses in immigrant detention, report finds. A months-long probe by the office of Senator Jon Ossoff compiled hundreds of alleged human rights violations at immigration detention centers, according to a new report about his probe first obtained by NBC News. The report states that Ossoff's office has identified 510 credible reports of human rights abuse against people in immigration custody. Of these cases, 41 include allegations of physical or sexual abuse. And this is such a short time period, too. As well as 18 alleged reports of mistreatment of children in custody, both U.S. citizens and non-citizens. Because, yes, U.S. citizens are getting rounded up, too, and held for days. And 14 alleged reports of mistreatment of pregnant women. The report cites a Department of Homeland Security official who anonymously reported to Ossoff's office seeing pregnant women sleeping on floors in overcrowded intake cells. It also stated that a pregnant detainee who spoke with Ossoff's staff described repeatedly requesting medical attention and being told to just drink water instead of getting a checkup. Another detainee at an immigration processing center in Louisiana, who was 6 months pregnant, told Representative Ayanna Pressley while the congresswoman was visiting the facility that she nearly miscarried twice after being detained. In response to an NBC News request for comment about the report's allegations, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in an email, and you'll never guess what she said. This is literally her copy and paste response to every time someone brings up a human rights issue at one of their detention centers. Are you ready? Any claim that there are subprime conditions at ICE detention centers are false. Despite overwhelming evidence of the exact opposite. Overwhelming evidence. We have covered it. And there's so many cases that I just haven't had time to cover too. And now we have this report that comes out that says at least 510 credible reports. Shouldn't have came into the country illegally, bro. Fuck you. Okay. This isn't just people who came here illegally. This is people who were here illegally. It also includes U.S. citizens. And these are people. I don't care what their immigration status is. They are people. and they do not deserve to be treated like this. In response to already read that. According to her, all detainees who are in immigration's and customs enforcement custody are provided with proper meals, medical treatment, and have opportunities to communicate with lawyers and their family members, except for the dozens of lawyers and dozens of families who came out and been like, we don't even know where our person is being held. And lawyers being like, no, we haven't been able to get into contact. These people are just lying. Their knee-jerk reaction is to lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lying is overpowered. It is OP. Like, so annoying. But this is from NBC News. Hundreds of alleged human rights abuses in immigrant detention, report finds. I recommend you read this whole article. This video has already gone on long enough, so I'm not going to read it. But there's so many stories here, and it's horrific. And like, remember this, we covered stories of there being maggots in the food. There's been multiple different reports now of people having to dig fecal matter out of toilets because the plumbing's not working and they're backed up with their bare hands. Talking like sleep deprivation through like, what, I don't even know what it's called, like light therapy. Like they have bright fluorescent lights just shining all day and night. Temperature fluctuations because the air conditioning doesn't work. Like, bro, like, these are horrendous conditions. These are concentration camp conditions. Yeah, like, I read the whole article. Like, just keep up with this stuff because it's gross. It is gross. And like, it's heartbreaking, man, because like, these are just people, and every report that shows up, like between 70 to 90% of the people in these detention centers and that we're rounding up and deporting aren't criminals. They don't have a criminal record, not in the United States, not in the country they came from. Plenty of them had some form of legal status. Alberto Garcia had a legal status and he was sent to CCOT. And of course, so many stories of U.S. citizens being detained and held for days despite being U.S. citizens. The people who were here through TPS status from like Haiti, that's all being revoked now because apparently Haiti's safe even though it doesn't have a functional government. It's under gang rule. It's heartbreaking, man, and I hate this. I hate it. I hate it so much. And this is going to be something that we look back on the history books and be like, wow, what were we doing? What were we doing? Like, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.